I saw, morning that he killed Major Brady or Sheriff Brady, and we always knew him as Major Brady, Sheriff Brady.
Yeah.
And the other was his deputy, George Hyman. And I was out in front of our house. Our house was right in the middle of town. And I was right out in front sowing some flower seed. I heard a volley of shots, and I looked up the street, up towards the store.
Yeah.
The kid, evidently, had come in the night to the store, which is there today. And there was an adobe wall around the back, a regular corral, that when the ranchers and the farmers came in to trade at the store, why they would drive their wagons into this place and keep them there while they were trading, or as long as they were staying in town. And the kid had come in and probably knew that the sheriff would be going to open court. Well, that was the instruction to the sheriff, that he was to go to the courthouse because the judge would not come over on account of the upset times. It was April 1st in 78,
Yeah.
first day of April. Tunstall had been killed, and there was great talk about the trouble there in Lincoln and what was threatened and all that. So the district judge who lived, Judge Bristol, lived in Las Cruces, and he sent a carrier over to, of course we didn't have telephones or anything of that kind those days, and he sent a messenger over to the sheriff, which was Major Brady, and he and his deputy went from the museum. We better just call it that.
Yes, let's call it that. That
the museum,
good.
yes. Now, from the museum, which was Murphy's store, and walked on down the street to go to the courthouse to adjourn.
How far down was it from the store to the courthouse?
Well, I think the courthouse was about the middle of town.
Oh, yeah.
And the town is about like it was in those days. I don't think there's quite as many people in Lincoln now as there was at that time. And there was 2 deputies with him, with the sheriff, Billy Matthews and George Hyman. The 3 of them were walking down the street, and just the courthouse set a little farther back than the church does today. And when they got to this they were just approaching this ditch that crossed the road across the street. That's where they were shot. They never got to the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
No. They were to go there, and the sheriff was to open court and adjourn. That was the rule, I suppose.
Yes, I know. I've seen those proceedings.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what that was. And I happened to be out in the front yard sowing some flower seed when I heard a volley of shots and looked up the street and saw the 2 men fall. Now, Billy Matthews was with them when they left the courthouse and came down the street right to where, and he ran and got around a wall that was on the south side of the street and ran to a Mexican house, and he never was hurt at all. And he, of course, there was the kid. The house that he went to was on the right-hand side as he came down the street from the courthouse, far from the museum, we'll call it now. And the kid was on the opposite side behind a wall. And the sheriff, where the sheriff and his deputies were killed, was, I would say that it's 150 feet from where the kid was. They hadn't quite approached this ditch. And I saw the 2 men fall, but I never saw Billy Matthews at all. I didn't see him.
Right. He must have been going pretty fast.
He must have been going very fast. I never saw him. And anyway, he ran into this Mexican house and stayed there until that afternoon. Now, this was 9 o'clock in the morning.
That the killing took place.
Yes. And in the afternoon, why, he got this Mexican woman that owned the house to loan him a skirt and a shawl. And he walked out into the street and went back up to the store. He told me that himself many times.
Is that a fact?
Yes. Yes, that was. Now that has never come out in any of the history that I've heard.
No, I've never heard that.
Well, do you remember a lady that came in yesterday?
Yes.
That was his daughter.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
You don't
After
say.
you left, while we were talking it all over.
Well, and she's heard that story.
She many times we talked about it.
Right?
Yes. And she said that some people had said that he was wounded, but she said no, he never was. He wasn't.
This now, did Brady, I mean, did he crawl any distance, or the other?
No. They dropped right there, there, just beyond the ditch. And then this Ike Stockton, who had come down to the Hickory's for the gold rush a couple of years before that, and then it kind of played out. And so he came to Lincoln to live, and lived there for a year. But anyhow, he saw the same thing that I saw. And he ran over when he saw the men, and to know if he could do anything. And Heinemann was alive. I could see, when I saw them fall, then I saw a hand go like that. I didn't know who it was, anything about it.
Waving up.
And Ike Stockton went over to him, and he said, "Can I do anything for you?" He said, "Water." So he went back to the ditch. That's why I brought the ditch in.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. He took off his hat, and with the brim of his hat, he dipped up water and carried it to him. He passed out.
Yeah, right there.
He did. Now, I got that all from Ike Stockton himself.
Is that right?
Yes, and I've never heard anybody tell that part of the story before.
Well, now, after you saw this shooting, or these men fall...
Well, I wasn't 25 steps out of the house. You know.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, I ran in, and I had a regular spell. My mother said that I just shook like a leaf.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Should think you would.
Yes, long after the war.
Well, now, who else was doing the shooting? You said there were a whole bunch of shots when the sheriff...
Yeah, well, to me it sounded like a volley of shots. But when the kid got away that afternoon, there was no one but he. That was all.
And you saw him?
I saw him, yes. That afternoon, somebody came to our door, as I remember, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and said, "Oh, look." And we went to the door and looked, and across on the north side, across the river, and began to the hill, why, there was the kid on his white horse, racing across the field. And just racing as fast as he could. And the shots, they were shooting at him from, well, I don't know where all the shots, but the dust would raise up around the horse, all around the horse. And the kid was lying on the off side and shooting under the horse's neck back to town. With with his 6-shooter, I suppose, because nothing couldn't use a gun from there. But he went off, and he went down back of the Ellis house. I wanted to show them exactly and draw the picture to them. I don't think there's anybody up there that knows. And I don't think so. So he went up a hill. There's a hill right back of the Ellis house, which is down the east end of town. And you climb up, and then there's a little bench. And he rode his horse up on that bench. And he stopped, got off of the horse. He was out of range then, you know.
Yes.
And he took off his hat and
waved
it at them. And then took his horse's lines and led the horse up. The rest of it was too steep to run.
And got away clean.
And got clear over the hill.
You know,
so I want to see those men that are now in charge of that history and take them down to where I stood and where I saw the men fall and where I saw him go across the field in that afternoon, get on that bench and
wave his cap.
Wave his cap. Goodbye.